to the story of Mar Galceran. She's a politician who's just been elected to Valencia's regional parliament in Spain. Nothing particularly exceptional about that, but Mar has Down syndrome. She's thought to be the first person with the condition to be elected to a European, regional or national assembly. Her appointment's been called a huge step forward and an example of real inclusion. Lynn Murray is a spokeswoman for Don't Screen Us Out, a group which campaigns for the rights of people with Down syndrome. She's also the mother of Rachel, who has Down syndrome, and I spoke to her earlier.
Delighted. It's really good news, and it really seems to have captured everyone's imagination. It's just amazing. Who would have thought? And yet here's this woman who, and it looks as though she hasn't just. It's not tokenism. She has worked very hard over many years to get to this position. So that says something that perhaps people might not realise what people with Down syndrome are capable of, but as I say, she has demonstrated that they are capable of going to the highest places in the land sort of thing and doing good work. And I would love to see more people getting opportunities like that. And I think she's broken a barrier and hopefully inspired some people to think, yeah, people with Down syndrome can do more than maybe we realised.
Is there still, in your view, a lack of understanding of Down syndrome and what it actually means, and people might put limits that don't actually need to be there?
I do think that people really don't understand Down syndrome. I mean, there's so few people with Down syndrome, they're a very small minority.
Yeah.
So a lot of people don't meet someone with Down syndrome. They have, the history of people with Down syndrome is that they were, because you could identify them at birth, they were rounded up and put into institutions, they died young. So people still have a lot of, stereotypes in their head that are not great. Because we're not including people enough in schools and education circles, then these stereotypes tend to not change. And we also have the problem that Down syndrome, there is a Down syndrome screening programme for pregnant women, and that also seems to perpetuate the stereotype of people with Down syndrome being a burden, possibly not achieving anything. You kind of feel we have to give you the worst case scenario. And that is a problem, because then what we see is that, consistently around 90% of people terminate a child when they find out that the baby has Down syndrome. So I think you can see that that's still, a problem.
And you're mum of a daughter who has Down syndrome.
Yes.
In terms of seeing Mar and her success, how important is that for you, for your daughter, to see somebody like that?
I think it's very important for people with Down syndrome to see that, to know that, they can achieve as much as anyone else. Just to sort of see someone doing something that other people do. I believe in Spain there's a guy called Pablo Pineda as well, and he has a degree, a university degree. So I think what this really does demonstrate is that people with Down syndrome are like everyone else. Some are better at one thing than another, and they have a whole range of abilities, and we shouldn't underestimate them and just put them all into sort of one little box where we think, we know what Down syndrome is.
And you said at the start it was quite important that it's not tokenism, that, she got there from her own hard work. Just expand on that for me a little bit, because, there might be people who don't read enough about this story, don't realise that, and might presume that that's the case.
Well, I suppose what I mean is it wasn't just something that, we should have someone with, a disability in the Parliament. It looks like she has worked for many years. She's worked in the civil service. She also, it said she was at the helm of an organisation that helped people with Down syndrome and their families. So she has worked, I think she joined politics when she was about 18 years old.
Yeah.
And she's now 45. So she has worked hard to get where she is today.
Yeah.
And she's very determined to help people with Down syndrome. And I think she's done that even by making the headlines the way that she has.
That's Lynn Murray. She's a spokeswoman for Don't Screen Us Out, a group which campaigns for the rights of people with Down syndrome. She's talking about Mar Galceran, a politician in Valencia in Spain, the first person with Down syndrome to be elected to a European, regional or national assembly.